We're going to talk a lot about a meeting or a couple meetings actually that are going to be coming up here. We're discussing, and I think this is really a blueprint for many cities that are joining us right now. If you're in the magic city of Minot, right now you're sitting there saying, okay, you know, as we rebuild this community, as we look at how we have infrastructure in certain places in Minot, but whether or not we should be building here, there, wherever, after the devastating flood. And then you know what Bismarck Mandan is going through. You saw what happened to certain neighborhoods there. One of the things that's happening in the community of Fargo is they're having that discussion. I mean, they really are. Mike Hahn is with the Downtown Community Partnership. He's with us right now. Mike, good to have you on News and Views.
Hey, thanks, Joel.
I think these meetings coming up are important because I think it gives the community a chance to look out 5, 10 years and say this is what we want our community to look like.
Yeah, and you know what we're doing is the Downtown Community Partnership is hosting 2 meetings today. One at 11:30 to 1 at the Fargo Theater, and the other one from 3:30 to 5 at the Fargo City Commission Chambers. And what we're going to do is just have a curbside chat. We're going to talk a little bit about you know, how our communities kind of reacting to the worldwide economy, you know, and some of the things that we're doing today as far as building on those fringes, as far as maybe not building up to the standards that our forefathers were up to. How are those going to impact us with the future? And one of the things that we've done is through Strong Towns is brought in Chuck Marohn here, and he's going to talk a little bit as far as, you know, facilitate that discussion as far as what's happening throughout the nation, which with new urbanization and get into what can we do, maybe kind of build up instead of build out within our community.
Well, and that we were talking about, unfortunately, many of the great conversations happen before the on-air light goes, but Chuck Marohn is with us, and he is with Strong Towns. First off, describe to people what Strong Towns is.
Well, Strong Towns, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we are dealing with that intersection between infrastructure, planning, and city finance. So many cities today have embraced the model of growing outward, and there's good reasons for that. When you grow outward, you see immediate cash returns, your balance sheet looks really good, your tax revenues go way up. The problem is there's a hangover with it, and it comes at the end of the first life cycle of that infrastructure. And what we have found is that the further you get out, the more that stuff starts to deteriorate. It just simply doesn't have enough value. It doesn't create enough value to actually sustain itself. Those strip malls and drive-through restaurants and housing subdivisions on the edge of town, yes, the people there are paying a lot of taxes, but it isn't anywhere near the amount of services that are required to sustain that over multiple life cycles.
Okay, so and we've had this discussion. I know Fargo City Commissioner Mike Williams has always been in my ear saying, you know, all of these communities, the ones I just mentioned, really need to look at ways to build and use their existing infrastructure and build from within.
Well, absolutely. And right now, you know, North Dakota itself is in a really unique situation in comparison to the rest of the country. I've been all over the country having these conversations with cities that have enjoyed decades of prosperity, you know, decades of solid growth, decades of, you know, new housing subdivisions, new commercial real estate coming online, and all of a sudden it slowed down and everything fell apart. Their budgets are completely insolvent. They're slashing their police departments, their fire departments. They don't have any money, and they're saying, you know, what happened? How did this all go bad? If you look here in North Dakota, we're kind of at the beginning of that. You know, everything looks like it's possible today. All of a sudden, the hardship's over, the happy days are here, we've got new growth coming in, you've got new sources of revenue coming online. I think the challenge for North Dakota right now, and for Fargo, is to learn from what has happened in the other parts of this country and see that, you know, you've got some great assets in place. The Fargo downtown is gorgeous. You know, there's a lot of good things going on financially there. But the part we drove through to get to the station today, not designed to last, not built to be functional over multiple life cycles, decades from now. We've got to find a way to do better.
Mike Hahn, has anybody from the City of Fargo or from your organization or others ever done a study of the footprint that Fargo has and said to prospective buyers, for example, wait, look what a lot price is here, or went to the Fargo City Commission and said, look at what the existing water sewer line is out here, the curved gutter. Has anybody got a map that says here's all the vacant areas in the existing footprint? Why are we going south to Davies?
I'm sure that there's that map out there. I mean, being here for only 2 years, I have not seen that map. But, you know, one of the things that we're going to start doing within the Downtown Community Partnership is actually put together those economic numbers and kind of show as far as what infill development will do, you know, how it will be essentially a revenue generator over the lifespan, you know, of generations compared to maybe one generation that you will see out in the fringe district. And, you know, one of the things that we're doing right now, Joe, is we're working with our private sectors. We're putting together block meetings and trying to work with our private property owners and put together what's called a business improvement district. And a business improvement district is essentially a self-assessment that the property owners want to put together to supplement what the existing city services are already done downtown. But with Chuck's help today, what we're doing is we're kicking off the process as far as working with the public sector, working with the city, and kind of hammering out what's commonly referred to within a business improvement district, a baseline agreement, and that's a contract. And what that contract is it states, okay, private property owners, this is what the city's going to provide, this is what they're going to do as far as baseline services for downtown, and since you guys are assessing yourselves, this is what we're going to do as far as supplemental services for downtown. So we're kind of working together as far as organizing this, and that's one of the reasons why we want to bring Chuck to town, is to kind of initiate that process as well.
Chuck, when you look at most of the communities that you've had this discussion in, does that mean up, or does that mean you using existing vacant type infrastructure?
It's a little bit of both. And when you say up, you know, a lot of people get the idea that it's got to be a tower or something that's, you know, 20 stories tall. Really, if you look at the traditional development pattern of the country, the traditional development pattern that like downtown Fargo was originally built around, you know, you've got the rail stop down there, and you can see the grid that exists around that area, how that was originally set up. Those places didn't necessarily do what we call infill today, which is go in, tear something down, build something huge. They more like kind of matured in place. So what you saw were neighborhoods that started out very modest, and then on this traditional grid slowly kind of built up over time. You may have single-family homes converted into duplexes and then become row houses and then become, you know, 2-story, 3-story, 4-story. These were things that happened in small increments. You didn't see these massive changes all the time. So you didn't get the not in my backyard movement, the opposition to growth. You didn't have these radical transformations. Everything just kind of incrementally improved over time. And what we really need to get back to, and I think the downtown is a great example of this, is that incremental pattern of continual growth and continual progression.
What I'm really curious for you as somebody who has a much broader perspective than what I do, is what your take is on what people believe their needs are of today. And so hang on to that, because I want to get to there with you, because my daughter's building a house right now, and had Sue and I lived in a house that size when we were her age, we would have been high-fiving. You know, we lived in a 900 square foot house for the first 15 years of our marriage, you know, and we thought we had plenty of room. You know, so I think it's kind of interesting today what's expected in terms of home size, in terms of everything. And no, I'm not against a third stall in the garage, honey.